everyone. So I have a book for you. I have a book review for you today. Wow. That's a little bit of a tongue twister right there. I'm not gonna try it. I just finished The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards, and it was good. I think I still like the movie better. I'm definitely gonna put it on hold because I like the movie a lot. The Michael McDermott? I'll have the link, the IMDb link to the movie down below with all the actors and such with that. But I like that movie, and Michael McDermott, I think that's him. I'm not 100% sure, but I will have the link down there, and I will confirm. I will put it on here in the videos, like confirming myself if I am, excuse me, if I am, when I go to edit this video. But this was a good book. It's not an amazing book. The one real negative I have about it is it's way too like wordy. It's way too descriptive. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's like Tolkien descriptive, but it's like, it is like really like flowery, wordy descriptive. Like, let me get the last page that I read. Paul walked a few feet back to the gravel path. He paused, his hands in his pockets, leaves swirling up in the eddies of wind. A scrap of newspaper floating over the rows of white stones. Clouds moved against the sun, making patterns on the land, and sunlight flashed on the headstones, the grass, and trees. Leaves tapped lightly in the breeze, and the long grass rustled. Like, I don't think it really it really distracted me when I was reading all of that stuff. I just found it really annoying because I don't think it needed that. I think it could have been better if it was like a better third person point of view, because that's what it was, but it was always in like a different person's point of view. So we have Dr. David Henry, so like the father. We also have the mother's point of view, the son's point of view, his twin sister's point of view, and this nurse's point of view that gets involved in this whole thing and looks after the twin sister. So we get those 5 people's point of view, and they're all third person, but I think it could have been better, like a better third person point of view. And yes, I'm at Mary's parents' house. So yeah. Anyway, that was my real like dislike of this book. I didn't like it, but I understand that with all of that, it would be a good way to, take that stuff, that visual stuff, to put it in the movie, because I really liked the movie. I watched the movie first, and then my aunt bought me this, and obviously I just read it. So, but I like that's the only reason I think any of that little that was just one paragraph that I read would help in like when they're trying to get the visual right for the movie, that they can get like, the visual for the movie a lot better. But reading it, I think it's kind of annoying. It's almost like I'm wearing a strapless shirt, no bra and such. It's a shirt, but anyway, yeah, it was almost like, I guess I was almost reading like a script. It almost seemed like it was more like a script, where it was very descriptive. It wasn't like this person saw this and basically described the landscape, or like this group of people ran and they finally broke out of the forest into blah 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 and all that such. So I like that a lot better, which I'm thinking is what Lord of the Rings or like Middle Earth description is like. It's what I write and what I read a lot. It has that sort of description where it's like, yeah. Whereas in here, it was just like, we got like a few sentences, and then all of a sudden it broke into like, the leaves were moving, this and this and this. But it wasn't like, Jason noticed the leaves rustling from the wind that was coming in from the west, or such like that. I would have preferred it that way, because it would make more sense, but yeah. And so we go back and forth between like two settings. So we've got the setting of the mother, father, and the son. And then the other half is the nurse and the daughter. The daughter, the reason why the daughter is with the nurse, and that's what we really know her as, but she becomes the nurse becomes an even better character throughout, like, her sort of progressive and her half of the book, or not really half, but her section of the book. And she takes the daughter because in 1964, when people gave birth to people with Down syndrome, they didn't think they were worth, like, saving, weren't worth a lot. So they put them in, like, institutions and homes where they didn't last very long. They were treated poorly, and, you know, they didn't live very long. And this was when the nurse, the wife and the husband, you know, she was in labor, so she was ready to give birth. And he had to deliver them. So his son was perfect. He came out perfect and, well, normal. He didn't have any, like, obvious disabilities and such. Whereas his daughter, like, you know, the twin sister, came out and, you know, she has Down syndrome. And apparently some of the time they can get, like, a heart murmur, or, like, holes in their heart, or something wrong with their heart. Megan's dog. So that nurse is there helping because apparently, like, he trusts, I don't know why. There was a reason why he called her. So when the father noticed his daughter had Down syndrome, she basically gave it to the nurse and said, please take it to this place. And it was a really not so nice place. So when she saw that, she basically took the daughter and raised it as her own, which was good because then we see the progression of how, you know, like, the Down Syndrome Association. I'll also have that linked down below because it's a real thing. This story is a fiction. It's completely fiction, but the setting and the Down syndrome aspect of it, that really happened, and they had to, you know, fight for getting their kids into the school, like public school, or like school in general, and getting society, like, not society yet, but like the school board to accept them into school, the hospitals to take them seriously and be like, hey, look after my kid. My kid is a human being. You have to save my kid. Because one aspect in there is the nurse and her boyfriend, or her husband that she just married. Oh, I got like plasticky hook things that help hold it up. I should probably cut those up, but anyway. They were outside and talking, and then all of a sudden the girl, she gets stung by a bee. And then she swells up. Because apparently the father's allergic to it, and the son is allergic to bees. So she got allergic to bees. So they're rushing her to the hospital. And, you know, when they get there, and they're like, please look after my daughter. This is her, an allergic reaction. This is the first time. You need to save her. The nurse is looking at her and notices that she has Down syndrome. You're like, do you really want me to do this? And, like, she's not even her birth mother, but the nurse is like, the fuck, bitch? Look after my kid. You're supposed to be saving her. And she, in the book, the nurse wanted to bitch slap the other nurse that's working in the hospital, where her husband is like, he grabs onto, like, the nurse or whatever, and he's like, look after my daughter. Please do what you can and get her into a room and save her, you know, all that. So he was calm. He was like, do your job, give her the antidote and all that such. And it's like, it's frustrating. Like, nowadays, they're a lot more accepted into the society, especially when the Down syndrome is a lot more high functioning, whereas my sister is a low functioning, so she doesn't have really good speech patterns. You can't fully understand her. Me and my dad, I'm her sister and he's her father, so we understand her more, her weird language a bit better, whereas when she's with other people, they only understand the certain words that actually, you know, actually sound like English. But there's other ones that you're like, what's that word? What was that word again? I'm like, I don't understand that whole entire sentence, ma'am. So there's that. But then there's other ones where they still have a heavy, thick way of their tongue, and they're like their vocal box. But with the high functioning ones, you actually can understand what they're saying, and they're talking, and they actually have better words, and they actually can do like actual jobs. In here, the girl gets a job at a photocopy center. I don't know, like copy center, where she's just photocopying papers, and that's all she does, and it's a job, and she does it. Yeah, but it took so long for it to get to that point. So like in the 60s, they were just gonna kill them off, and it's a real thing that you know, I don't know what progression it was everywhere, but this is like in Kentucky. Well, they're in Lexington and Pittsburgh, and they talk about Cincinnati, but Lexington and Pittsburgh, this is all in states. Those are the two main cities that are talked about. Like that's how I'm guessing it progressed, and just it's a lot better nowadays. Whereas back then it took so long for stuff to happen. And you know, Down syndrome people, they're not retarded, but they're, well, I guess no, because retarded means somebody else is impeding somebody else, like they're slowing a person down. Whereas a Down syndrome person, they are slower, they learn slower, they do things a little more slower, which with my sister is a little frustrating, but I'm her sister. It's normal. And they do, like, sometimes they do things a little slower. They will sometimes, like, be a little more methodical and be very focused in what they have to do. I have that little bit of a problem that I get really focused in something, and then I'm instantly getting a lot faster and all that stuff. But not so much talking. But let's not talk about me. We're talking about this. So I loved, I don't know where I started, but this end part, I love that technically half of the book. It's not a true like half and half. It's like mixed up. Like we had like 3 chapters of the husband, wife, and son, and then we get like 2 chapters of the nurse and the daughter, or, you know, like it's all over the place, but it follows the years. So we start in 1964 and we end in 1989, which is when I was born. Yes, 1989, and yes, so we go from 1964 to 1989, and I love the whole thing with like the nurse and the girl and that whole progression. I love that section because it fascinates me a whole lot more than, you know, the mother, father, and son aspect. Like, it was interesting, and it helped with the whole progression of the story, like the entirety of the plot, but it wasn't my favorite. In the book, it's not my favorite, but in the movie, I like the entirety of the movie. The movie is really great. It shows better with the mother, father, son aspect, but the nurse and the girl, it was always good for me. I always liked that one. I always liked that part of the story. But with the book, the normals, we'll say, it was okay. It helped the progression of the story, but it wasn't my favorite. It didn't appeal to me, whereas the Down syndrome sections, that's what I'm gonna say, were the most fascinating, the most depth I find, which I don't know, but I really liked it. the characters. I really mainly liked the Down syndrome characters. So we've got the nurse, her husband, because she does get married, and the daughter. I love this section. I love those characters and their progression and the way that the daughter is like the way she is. It's very simple. Like, Down syndrome people are very simple people. They're not like as complex as like you or I am, sort of thing. Like the normal people. We have our own complexities. Like, they're like the normal people in the book were like screwed. They were screwed up. But it's because the father told the mother that their daughter died, and throughout this whole life it's like that thing messes everything up. And so, like, they're just screwed. And then, obviously this whole thing is that they get to know that the daughter actually lived. And they're a little, I don't know what the word is, but they're a little, like, they want the daughter back in their life, but because of the Down syndrome, the girl is very much like, this is my father, this is my mother. You are just a strange woman to me. So, yeah, like, there's a lot of, like, assumptions on, like, the birth mother and the brother. There's a lot of assumptions, but the brother gets a little better. The mother, yeah. So, yeah. I would recommend this. I do recommend it heavily for the Down syndrome aspect. If you have, like, a Down syndrome person in your life, say that is your child, it's your niece/nephew, your grandchild, you work with someone who has Down syndrome, you went to school with someone who had Down syndrome, anything where you interact on, I'd say, like, more of a daily basis. It doesn't have to be like every single day, but like every 3 days you see this, person with Down syndrome, or like you see this person with Down syndrome at family functions and stuff like that. I very much recommend it to people who those people who have someone with Down syndrome in their life somehow. I very much recommend it. I recommend it because of, like, that whole people, like, thinking that they should be dead and, like, pushed out of society because they're not the norm, and just like the progression of them not being accepted in society, really, to them, starting to be accepted into society. Because nowadays, like, 2017, that's the year I'm filming this, is they are more accepted in society, but people are still idiots and make fun of them because of the way they look, because their faces are a little flatter, their eyes are definitely different, and they are shorter. They're not like dwarf short, but they're somewhere between, like, a normal short person and a dwarf. They're somewhere, like, in between. They are more readily accepted into society, and they're more in normal society and, like, jobs and such. Like, I see them as actors. I see one of them as a model. There's this cute little adorable blonde little girl that has been passed around my Facebook, and, like, she's the most adorable little thing in the world. And, like, you can understand her very well. But then, there was something on the news where policemen made fun of a Down syndrome woman. Like, she's older, she wears, like, more adult stuff, and, they made fun of her, which is not good. So, but I recommend it to those who have people with Down syndrome in their life. But to those who may not have a Down syndrome person in their life, I would recommend it also, because you see both sides of the spectrum. You see people who don't have person with Down syndrome in their life, and they're for a long time, or, like, a period in their life, they don't have any people with Down syndrome in their life. But then they come in contact with someone, and this person eventually is supposed to, like, will be in their life a lot more, or who, like, don't really have, any real concept of the Down syndrome aspect, or, like, they never will have Down syndrome people in their life, but they are in the world. I would recommend this to basically every single person, because we've got the normal people, and, they don't have, Down syndrome people in their life. But then we have the other side. I meant to go back later. But we have the other side where somebody is raising a person with Down syndrome, be that, they adopted this person, this baby, or a person with Down syndrome. They gave birth to someone with Down syndrome and they're raising it. And you've got that aspect of, like, you're constantly in your life. And you have to figure out a way how to look after them, how to work them in your life. And the fact that, if they're living with you, you're constantly will always be looking after them. Even if someone is Down syndrome is a high functioning Down syndrome, they still need some guidance. They are very simple people. Like in here, the daughter could have been kidnapped, like killed, raped, all that such, because she's a very simple woman. The daughter, she's a very simple person, and they still need looking after. But the high functioning ones, they could live on their own. They can have relationships. I don't know about kids, because that's a little bit of concern, but they could get married. They can live on their own. They can do their own, like, shopping and have a job. Where there's those ones, but the low functioning ones, like my sister, will either go to a home where there are a lot more Down syndrome people, like the institute in here, but nowadays it's a whole lot better. They treat them a whole lot better. There's a whole lot better aspect nowadays with looking after and putting a Down syndrome person in a home, and they have, like, a head adult, like normal person adult looking after them. Or, which I think is in my case, my sister will constantly always live with my dad, and if she's still living after my dad dies, then she'll come to be with me, because I don't really want to put her in a place, because I might forget to go visit her and all that such, because I have a very bad forgetful mind, if we know that. And I don't mind if she lives with us, because my sister basically just sits and watches TV. She does what she's very good at like just staying at home. Whereas some people with Down syndrome, sometimes they tend to bolt. I don't know why, but I've heard that some of them tend to bolt, or like open the door and leave, which is not a good situation. But it's not every situation. You have to understand that. Every person is different, and they have different things. It's the same thing with Down syndrome. There are certain things that, are going to be very common with all Down syndrome aspects and having someone with Down syndrome in your life. But Down syndrome people have their own personalities too, and their own way of being. So there will be differences between everyone. But yeah, anyway, I did like this book. My favorite parts were the Down syndrome parts, and I would, as I said, I definitely recommend you reading this, because I may have found it, as I said, I found some of those spots, like the paragraphs, they just went on and on and on about, like, very, like, descriptive, like, flowery descriptive. Like, no, maybe not flowery, because I think I like some flowery stuff, but it's not good third person descriptiveness. It's not incorporating the people. It's taking, like, you have a little bit of the people, and then you have like cold descriptiveness of everything else, like like the door was shut tight, and just basically a coldness, and not very inclusive of, like, the people within it. And as I said, my favorite part is the Down syndrome section. But overall, it is a good book, and the movie is really good. I recommend probably reading the book first, and then watching the movie, but if you've watched the movie, I do recommend reading the book because there are stuff in here that is not in the movie. Like, there's a section where there's weed involved, and it's the first time weed is, like, you know, in the situation in here, like the family situation, it's the first time it's being introduced and such. And then there's a really sort of a scary part where there's a new character introduced that's not in the movie, but there's the character is in here. So I do recommend reading this book because, you know, as I said about the book, but I recommend it if you have watched the movie. It's the same title, but because there are different things in here, there are different situations that are slightly different from than they did in the movie, but there are also like completely things that they took out from the book that they didn't put in the movie. So yeah, I recommend this book, and yeah, it's done. And I'm gonna be keeping this book because I do enjoy it. I don't have the movie yet, but I do enjoy this. I did enjoy this. And the last chapter, like the very last chapter, which it's set in September, I feel it should have ended in that July where it spanned 3 days. This is the last chapter, the official last chapter. They don't have like real chapter headings, which is weird and a little annoying. This is the last section, so this is the last year, but this July 1st to July 4th, because there is another technically chapter, and I apparently totally skipped it. Here it is. It should have ended with this chapter, these dates, but for some reason it continued on to 2 months later. Yeah, roughly 2 months later. I feel like it didn't need that chapter. That was just a chapter that was just added on for, I don't know what reason, but it was probably a stupid reason. It doesn't need that. It should have ended with the mother and the son coming to, you know, see their sister slash daughter. And that would have been perfect, because that's technically how they ended it in the book, but there's one more chapter, and I find it stupid. It wasn't needed, but read it and find your own reasoning for why this, you know, why that chapter was there, why you think the chapter is there. If I don't know if there's anyone who thinks the chapter should be there, but if you do, I wouldn't mind discussing it or understanding your reason why you think that chapter should be there, like the very last chapter, September 1st, 1989. I don't really think it should be there because, I don't know, it just feels like added on. Or like, maybe they should title it as a epilogue or something like that. But definitely, that should not have been there, and it should have ended with them just finally meeting her and such. Because it would have been a perfect ending. It was a perfect ending in the movie. I think that's why they took the last chapter out, because, you know, it was just stupid. But anyway, yeah, that's my book. I'm not going to read one of my personal books because my interlibrary loan is at the library. And I'm going to pick that up Monday, and I'm going to start that. And then I will add that clip to the end of this video. So, yeah. And I'm back because I got this today. Here's the book I'm reading now. This is this is my interlibrary loan book, because, you know, because of this thing. This has my thing. I'm not supposed to take it off, if you saw that when I quickly flipped it around, because, well, this is not from my library. So this, wow, Essex County Library. And it's got, you remember this doing it in your library? It's been a long while since I've ever done that myself. But anyway, I have The Bad Luck Wedding Night by Geraldine Dawson. I don't know where my little paper is. I'm gonna find my little paper. There you, ooh, it was very simple to find, because I want to finish my authors, and this is the one I was working on. I couldn't because it was part of a series, so yes, there's that. And I have I couldn't get the previous one, which is Sizzle All Day. Could have tried to get it on like a different format, but I'm pretty sure it's not on like a different format, like audio CD and like or an audio book. Like it's like, it looks like an MP3 I showed you before, but I doubt it would have had her stuff in it. So it's okay. I missed one book. I have one more book to borrow, which is called Her Bodyguard, before I get to read mine. And then I have one more left, which is at my library. I know the last one is. So anyway, let's get to this. I did start it. I read 2 pages. That's all. And I never read the back, even though I wanted to, but I'm going to read it now. And yes, I just had a shower. Oh, we're going to have a loner in there. I need a drink. Oh, nice cold water. Ah, something old. Every woman remembers her wedding night, even if she wishes she didn't. Oh my gosh. Ugh, little tongue twister. Sarah, Lady Weston, tries not to recall how her husband wooed, wed, and deserted her in the name of duty almost a decade ago. She is successful and content in her role of professional wedding designer, like a wedding planner. But for all her attention to detail, she neglected one important item. Sarah never had her marriage annulled. Well, that's a thing. Isn't it just her bad luck that Nick now finds himself in need of a wife? Something new. No man would ever forget a wedding night like the one Nicholas, Lord Weston, endured, but his years as a spy in the service to the crown have taught him the value of patience, among other things. Now back in Britain, his sister's weddings on the horizon. Wow, some of those S's don't make sense to me. And haunted by a woman he never truly left behind. He is ready to tackle the most dangerous and daunting task of all, seducing his skeptical bride. Something wonderful. Alright, that did not make sense. There is a little thing in the beginning. I'll read that. A journal lay propped against her pillow. Sarah's mouth immediately went dry. He'd been in her room, despite the door locked. But then, a former spy would know how to pick a lock, wouldn't he? Of course he would! Licking her lips, Sarah opened the pillow book. That's a weird name for a book. My dearest Sarah, as I take up my pen to write, I wonder what thoughts are going through your head after this, your first night in London. Are you thinking of the sights you have seen? The pleasures of the shops? Dare I hope you are thinking of me? I am thinking of you. I am dreaming of you. Daydreams, night dreams. Of late, I have dreamed of your eyes, so beautiful. Amber with flecks of gold, autumn eyes, whiskey eyes, siren eyes. They call to a man, beckon him. I go gladly. I am swept away, held spellbound by the multitude of emotions I see swirling around me. Humor and wit, intelligence, compassion, passion. My blood catches fire. Though I wouldn't mind having when I write a book, I wouldn't mind giving someone amber eyes because, no, not amber eyes, autumn eyes, because I love autumn. And autumn tend to have some beautiful colors. Look into your dreams, Sarah. See me. See how I want you. Close your eyes and feel the touch of my lips against your temple, your brow. Long and sable soft lashes. Do they tickle me? Tease me? Please me? Oh, I'm horrible for doing that in real life. Please, let me please you. Tonight, I believe I will dream of your mouth. Until next time, Nick. Oh my god, what's the annoyance? Okay. And we start here. First chapter. It is May, currently, in this first chapter. We're in Fort Worth, Texas, 1877. How early is that year? I don't remember what years we've been starting. Crap. Is there a change? Because it says a year. It's been a year. I don't know. I don't know. Apparently, where did I read? Her husband deserted her only a decade ago. Oh my god, 10 years. So, should we start the book out as a 16. Yes, she's 16, so now she's 26, which makes a lot more sense to read this. Anyway, how many chapters do we have? I like knowing that. I had the ooh, it's an epilogue. I don't want to read that because there's like a newspaper clipping type thing, or like, you know, a head title page of sorts. Yeah, no. Come on. 20, so we got 22 chapters in here, which is not bad. Hopefully we've got some good shit in here. And apparently we go back to England again, because it says here, now back in Britain, his sister's wedding's on the horizon. And all that such, so, yes. And I have my next book from my library is A Daughter's Promise by Julie Ellis. I'm not sure how you would pronounce that, but this would be the next one, and I will, you know, I will read that with that thing, so that'll happen. Yeah. Okay, so this is the end of my video, finally. It's a two-parter video because, well, this is my PJs of this week. And so I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please hit that like button down there if you liked it. And you can leave comments about, like, and you can leave comments about my book, The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards, and how you liked it. Let me know down in the comments below. You can also let me know if you have watched the movie, because I certainly have watched the movie and now read the book, and I do like them. I just prefer the movie more. And you can leave your comments down below. We'll have a discussion. I don't want an argument. I don't want negative stuff down there, because we do not need negativity in the world. Alright? Even when we're discussing two actually really good, like, it's a really good story and two good medias. Because we've got the book media and we got the video, like the video media and all that, okay? They're really good, but I do love the movie a lot more than the book. But the book, I liked how it explained more in the Down syndrome section, a little more there. Except that last chapter, I did not like that last chapter in the book. But anyway, just don't be negative, don't be nasty, because we do not need in the world, and I just said that. And if this is the first time you're watching my video, please hit that big red subscribe button down there by my picture for more book reviews, hauls, unboxing, unbagging, because something's coming, a bubble manila envelope, or plastic bag wrapped thingy, vlogmas, random vlogs, and random videos. I have no idea what to categorize. Alright, I gotta go make another video because I did some shopping today. So I will see you in my next one. Bye everyone.